All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order tonight. So with that, please join me for opening exercises, pledge, followed by a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Thank you. Stacey, would you call roll, please?
John Cassiano,
Here.
Willard Delafer,
Here.
Joseph Fetzinger,
Here.
Todd Hernandez,
Here.
Becky Height. Here. Lauren Hunsicker. Here. Todd Leiser. Rachel Shepard. Here. Jennifer Cenovitis. Here.
Thank you. Okay, 1.04, approval of the agenda. So looking for a motion. Second. Mr. President, Mr. Delafield. Any comments or questions, any changes? All right, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those no? Thank you. All right, so at this moment, I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting tonight. Thank you all for coming. Kind of a full house from what we're usually accustomed to lately. And at this time, I'd like to offer courtesy to the floor. I see we have somebody joining us. If you'd like to address the board, just state your name and township for the record.
She's here for the personnel.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure. All right. Oh, we have one more. Good timing, courtesy of the floor. Nope, okay. We'll move forward. There'll be another opportunity at the end of the meeting, at the end of the meeting, if you wish to offer any comments. 1.07, the minutes. So we have minutes from the workshop meeting and the last board meeting. So Mr. Elegant, second. Mr. Fassler. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, aye? Right. Oh, no? All right, thank you. Okay, 1.08, recognition and presentations. I'd just like to preface, we have a couple presentations of the budgets from LTRIC and LCTI. We will be taking action on these items later on in the meeting, so they may not stay. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask them before we actually take action, it would be at this time once they're finished. So I just wanted to put that out there. At this moment.
Okay.
And it over.
We drew straws, I think. I don't know how we determined, but I think LTRIC is going to go first. So I'd like to invite Dr. Ann Bieber, who is the president, Mrs. Stephanie Nestor, who is the vice president for finance and administrative services, and Dr. Barbara Kissler, if she would like, who is your LTRIC board representative, to come up and do a short presentation about the LTRIC budget. And as Mr. Hernandez said, later on in the agenda are the approval for these items. And I do not know if they are staying, so certainly if you have any questions about the contents of the budgets for approval, I would encourage you to ask them while they're here. Dr. Bieber, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, thank you. And good evening, and thank you for all you do for LTRIC and sponsoring LTRIC and all you do for our community. This evening, I'll give you just a little bit of few facts about the community college, a little update, and then Vice President Nestor will present our budget. And then followed by your representative trustee at LTRIC, Dr. Kissler. This past year, LTRIC served about 11,000 students, and that was both in credit and workforce training. Some of the stimulus money that we received, what we used it for was to about over $3 million to cover unpaid balances of 2,400 students. We wanted to give students an opportunity who had balances to come back to the college, wiping their prior balances clear. We continue to look at our organizational structure after COVID. We look at every position. Thank you. We look at their allergy, I'm not sick. We look at every position to determine should it be replaced or not, in an effort to ensure that we have a balanced budget. One of the areas of focus, our students, we saw after COVID required more assistance to stay in school. And so we hired coaches both for our faculty as well as our students. They proved really successful. They were integrated in all areas of the enrollment process. And recently we completed a facility master plan. And so over the next 5 years, we're looking, with a cost of about $15 million. And we've begun to receive grants to help with that. Senator Brown recently helped us with $2 million towards that. So we're beginning slowly to do the renovations that we need. But this fall, we had about 6,200 students, as you'll see from the fact sheet. And over 200 students were from Northwestern Lehigh. Almost 90 of those students were in dual enrollment and early college, and they registered for courses such as biology, anatomy, physiology, and sociology. The most popular majors were the dual enrollment, general studies, and health sciences and business administration. Only 28% of the students were full-time and 72% part-time. That's what we're seeing across the campus, more growing population of part-time students because they work. But it's been a great semester at LTRC, and we continue to tweak the programs and the services to ensure our students' success. Now I'll turn it over to Vice President Lester.
Thank you again for having us. Thank you, Dr. Beaver. I have the short version of our budget on the slide deck for you. We also did hand out our full budget if you want to read the whole thing, but I'll try to keep it brief because I know you have a large agenda. So as Dr. Beaver mentioned on our fact sheet, we do have over 200 students from Northwestern Lehigh. I'll talk about that a little bit more because that affects how your funding stream comes to us. There we go. Okay, our budget summary. So on this page, you can see that our total budget for the upcoming year is just under $60 million in comparison to $58.7 million last year. Our operating revenues will be up $0.4 million for this upcoming year. Our grants are down 0.7, mainly because of the PERF funding drying up. We also have an increase in project funding of 1.5 million. I'll talk a little bit more about some of the projects that we're working on. We do have tuition increases. The bulk pricing for our tuition and fees will go from $25.95 per semester. That's up from $25.50. Our Pell Grant is expected to be $7,395 next year. So there'll be just a slight overage from what it will actually be that we charge them. For the appropriations, we are anticipating that our state contribution will remain the same at just about $14.5 million for operations. Our debt service and capital will remain about the same at 1.3. Our total sponsoring school districts will be just under $6.2 million. That's the same amount that we've requested from all 13 of our school districts for the last 10 years. Northwestern's allocation will be $231,000. That's a slight decrease over what you paid for us last year. For enrollment, that's how we build our budget. We look at what our credit enrollment is going to be year over year. We're budgeting at 113,500. That's 1% less than 22-23. We're trying to remain conservative with how we're budgeting. We've been challenged with competition from area businesses that are hiring our students because they can make $20, $25 an hour working at the warehouses or at other employers. Our dual enrollment credits are actually up. We're budgeted 15,700 for the upcoming year. I mentioned a little bit about the tuition and fees. On a per credit basis, it'll be $183 per credit, $3 higher than the 22-23 year. Dual enrollment pricing will remain flat. It is different based on who the instructor is teaching the classes. Again, there's our Pell benchmark. Pell is expected to be a little higher than our total estimated fees and books, which we always try to keep our prices as low as possible. We are about number 12 out of the 14 community colleges in the affordability scale. So we like to stay as low as we can. For our expenditures, Our total salaries, wages, and benefits represent 74% of our budget compared to 73% last year. We are in contract negotiations with our faculty. We just finalized our ESP contract last month. For positions, we review open positions weekly. Staff has to come and present their case of why we're going to replace staff. That's our, as you know, that is where all of our expenditures lie. We do have 2 positions on hold that are not included in next year's budget. We'll continue to evaluate needs based on attrition. Adjunct instructors, of course, are hired based on our enrollment needs. So if our enrollment does end up spiking, we can lean on our adjunct professors to help us with those courses. For benefits, we do participate in the consortium that the school districts run out of the IU. We are in the PPO 6 plan. So just like Northwestern, our medical benefits, the premiums went up 11% going into next year, and dental will be 3%. Some of our other benefits, we have almost $2 million of payroll taxes, 1.7 of retirement costs, and another $500,000 of insurance. Finally, for the breakdown of the school district contribution, the operating component is based on the 5-year average of your FTEs that are sent to our school district or from your school district to us. So the FTE average was 95 students. Operating share would be 153,000. The 2021 market value of Northwestern School District for your properties is 1.7 billion. That's how the allocation is done for that lease and capital share. That's 78,000. So the total appropriation, again, 231,000 that we're requesting, a decrease of 1,400 in one year. Lastly, I'll just talk about our reserves. Thanks to the HERF funding, we were able to maintain and increase some of our reserves. We have a $14.9 million capital reserve. We are working on air handling unit project that we're funding with our HERF funds. We are doing renovations in our ARC Center. We've reduced the footprint of our bookstore based on demand from our students and are opening a DEI center. We are working on improvements down at Donnelly. We're also in the throes of starting some science lab upgrades, utilizing some of the reserves that you see there. One point to mention is with our revenues and expenditures, we utilize 500,000 of a benefits reserve and 400,000 of our enrollment stabilization reserve to help us balance our budget this year. So we were out of budget almost $1 million coming into next year. So we are working on many cost saving measures to help bring that back into line since we won't have the HERF funding to rely on. Questions? If there aren't any questions, we thank you for your time, and I'd like. Yes,
I have a couple of questions. They're not really budget related questions though.
Okay.
I wonder if you could go back to that first slide you had up there with the district fact sheet.
Betsy?
And in the enrollment in the middle of the sheet there, it's called gender enrollment.
Mhm.
And how do you explain so many more females enrolled at LIC than males? Is this a national trend, or how do you explain that?
It has been,
Dr. Kistler's been in education.
Yeah, I'd say that men are more likely to go to work, and that's where we're losing more attrition.
But is this a trend that's leaning in this direction? Didn't it used to be closer to 50-50 or even more male than female years, decades ago?
Decades ago, decades ago,
Decades
yeah,
ago.
but not in the last several years.
Is it due to the types of programs that are offered that they've got interest male, or is it?
Well, we do have a lot of nurses.
Yeah.
We do, but we also have a lot of the trade, HVAC, dental, manufacturing. During the pandemic, most people know we've lost, especially the young male of color, we lost those students who left have to go to school and work. That was national as well. But I don't think, maybe it was 60-40 for the past 10 years. But so, maybe the 5% dip, but I don't remember.
So it's not a recent trend that,
I think it's getting more female, like I said, that 5%, but I wouldn't say it's skewed.
when I looked at that, I was just wondering if this, and this is just a discussion I'd like to have with educators in our LCTI and LTIC are partners in educating their kids. Tonight, so, is this maybe unintended consequences of trying to make college more attractive to women and minorities over the years, and the males are just kind of being left out? I know from being on a college and we go out and try to recruit and make incentives for bringing in females and minorities and that kind of thing. Are we doing it at the expense of having males on?
No, our scholarships, our recruitment efforts are across the board. They are not focused on male, female, or minorities. They are into the school districts, recruiting students into the programs that we have. And actually, in some cases, I know Perkins likes you to have non-traditional students, so they like you to have males in nursing, for example. So I really have not seen that.
And those statistics are similar to what is across all of our school districts. So the male-female ratio across all of LTRC is 64-36. So Northwestern is right in there.
Plus, there's an emphasis of LTRC lately on veterans. Yeah. And we're now guard serving institution, and they tend to be, male. So
It was just kind of curious when I saw that number that stuck out at me. And today there was, the PSBA puts out these blogs every day with articles to read. Today they had one from Education Week, that magazine, and it was titled "Jaded with Education, More Americans Are Skipping College." And it talks about how nationwide undergraduate college enrollment dropped 8% from, they said 2019, I guess, beginning of COVID to now, but they said this slide is the greatest slide that they've had since 2018. It's the steepest on record according to computer-related statistics. And then it went on to say, I got cut off because I unsubscribed. So I couldn't finish the article. And I got, where it got my interest, and then I got cut off. But it said the Secretary of Ed Cordona wrote a letter to announce an initiative to provide guidance to school districts. And it was, it said the disconnect between our K-12 higher education and the workforce systems left too many young people without the skills and credentials needed to thrive in the workforce and in their communities. And they had this survey that they had with parents and teachers and students in business. And it came out that they want to place a higher priority on preparing students for careers. That's where that comes in, as well as the career that you offer there. And but a higher priority on preparing for careers and basic life skills, and rather than college readiness in our K-12 curriculum. And then these life skills, it sounded like the book of Proverbs. They were mentioning all the things, they were like social skills, work ethic, getting along with their peers and respecting authority, that kind of thing. So it's just an interesting article, and but that 8% didn't too. And I know we've been facing that enrollment challenge for decades there, at least.
We are very much more fortunate than our sister community colleges across the state. Our enrollment, the prior year was flat with our FTEs, and Reading was up 2%. Other than that, all of our sister community colleges were down from as high as 13%. So it is not unusual, not the same thing that state universities and around. Less people are going to college, going out to the workforce, making the attractive wages Right?
Well, we see all this wokeness on college campuses and, you know, maybe some of that is driving kids away from college into the trades when they wanted to go to college to begin with, and that was part of this article as well, but, that and the 8% just hit me as, you know, where are we headed with our kids and getting them ready for, to be successful citizens.
Well, and that's the uniqueness of a community college compared to a four-year college, because we are in the community, we are talking to business leaders, we are business people to see what skills they want of our students. So there are new programs that we have. Dr. Berger just was talking today about how we have a program with Lehigh Valley Hospital. They're helping frame the curriculum, and they're going to guarantee jobs to the students when they get their credentials. So as we're working with them, we can adapt quickly to what the needs are to get students working. So the path is they can go to the workforce, or they can go to college, or do both. Because that's the other challenge we have, is telling today's students, explaining to them that it's an investment in your future. $20 an hour may sound great now when you're 18, but when you have a family and other things to do, you're going to want to be able to earn more and need more skills to do that.
You're coming out of college with a degree that you can't find a job
Right?
relative to.
And
the
that's where
degree.
career pathways help. Right?
Thank you. I'm part of the veer off the budget. I didn't have any doubt that the budget was on track, but these, I just want to.
I'll let Dr. Kitzler then make a couple closing remarks and we'll.
And for Dr. Kessler, you certainly think, I just want to respond like high school was, and this applies to LTIC and LCTI. You know, part of our job is to prepare them for all of those skills. And so the board knows that we did a profile of a graduate a few years ago that talked about some of those soft skills you're talking about. And I don't know necessarily that some of those articles represent what you'll see here. But when we went and did a dual enrollment grant just recently, there's 20% of our high school students that are going to LTIC for dual enrollment courses. That's just high school students, not representative of students that go there after school. And LCTI is representative of 25% of our high school students. And so both of the organizations you'll hear from tonight, whether it's college readiness, career readiness, military, whatever it is that they want to do. I believe our high school program and K-8 program to that is preparing them for whatever it is that they wish to do. And we have good participation and great success, whether it's the NOCD or whether it's, you know, them getting a career or a college certificate or a articulation agreement elsewhere, regardless of what path they kind of choose. So, I mean, I didn't see the article today, but certainly if we can pull it for you, I'll certainly get you the whole article so you can read the whole thing. But I'll pass it off to Dr. Kessler.
But kudos to Superintendent Holman for doing the dual enrollment grant. And when I was with Senator Miller today, I said to watch those, you know, because how hard the districts work to put it in, and he definitely put that on his list. But as Lisa will tell you, what Lisa, out of 590 possible applicants, only 90 applied. So that's kudos to the work of your district to write the grant.
Yeah, and I pass it on. You gave me credit. Mrs. Jadish and Mrs. Stinsel are the ones who put the work in to put the application together. But certainly it's something we believe is important for our kids as an opportunity and a pathway if they wish to take dual enrollment courses, that if we can in some way help fund that, which is what we applied for, we'd like to continue to do that. Sorry, Dr.
No problem, no problem. I just wanted to say hi to all the board. Some of you I know more than others. Hello, Joe Passman. And just to let you know that I'm your biggest cheerleader at the community college. And I really think I wanted, at least my message for tonight is just to assure you that you are getting your money's worth at the community college. I think the last 3 years, the college has operated beautifully through some pretty tough situations. And you've heard about enrollment, and we've really stepped up the enrollment efforts and put money into we're a hunger serving institution named by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. So, you know, we have food distributions, we have all kinds of ways that every student is given every possibility of success. and we're very proud of that. So, some of you know that I taught at LTRC for 23 years. And so this knowledge, this background knowledge that I carry around with me is being put to good use. And I thank you for making me your representative, so I can, continue to serve the college in this way. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for L. Tracy?
Let me say one last thing about dual enrollment, since this is very important. I had two sons that went through Northwestern Lehigh. My husband was on this very board. And one of my sons was in dual enrollment, had 42 credits and started as a junior at the University of Delaware. So, yes, as your taxpayer.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Lisa Greenwald, who is the Executive Director for LCTI, as well as Mrs. Polly Keller, who is the Business Administrator, up to present the LCTI budget. Gonna hold your 25% to specific till the end, but I think you have it on one of your slides. I don't know that or one of your graphics.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having us out this evening. It's a privilege and honor to be here to speak with you. Roles are reversed. When we hosted you a few months ago, had a whole different role, but so I'm a little nervous. My former assistant is here and I'm still a little nervous in this new role. But anyway, we have a very long-standing, strong relationship with your district, and we're very pleased to continue that, and we value that greatly. Our student enrollment is increasing, and our budget is. Can you go to the budget slide? There we go. And our budget is based on something that we refer to as the average daily membership. It's called an ADM, and you can see on this slide the districts that are listed, including your district that we have highlighted in the yellow. But we use that ADM to calculate our budget as well as property values within your district. So we look at a 5-year historical average of ADMs, and that's in the center columns. And that's how we determine the proportional share of your budget. And if you look at those numbers, since the school year 2017-18 until this school year, we estimate the ADM for the year based on the first Monday in October, so October 3rd this year, enrollment. And you can see that it's increased from 133 ADMs up to 210 ADMs currently, or an increase of about 77 students. So that's incredible for your district. And I applaud you for continuing to support LCTI and your students in their desire to follow a career pathway. So for our 23-24 budget calculations, your school district's 5-year average now reflects the higher 5-year average than it did previously. As you see, the 2017-18 ADM is the lowest of the attendance enrollment at LCTI. So that dropped off and it increased that averaging. So on the next slide, you'll see in the academic center, your enrollment also, sorry, I can do that too, right, Stacey? There we go. So on this slide, you'll see on the academic center that we've had an increase of 3 students in there, but your enrollment has remained stable. And your property values remain strong and are reflected in the proportional share of ownership in our LCTI facility and debt service. So you own LCTI for that proportional amount based upon your property values. So tonight you are presented with a balanced budget that is coming in. That is coming in under the Act 1 index. So it does include the addition, of 1 teaching position to support our population of students that are identified as English language learners. It is a new position in our budget. Currently, LCTI serves 65 students. 2 of those are from your district, who are English language learners. And the regulations from the Department of Education require that we provide that support and instruction to this group of students. So that new position will work with our teachers to work with that population of students. And we anticipate that that number will grow for LCTI and will likely grow for your district as well. Many of our other districts are seeing an increase in that population of students, and the census supports that as well. So I would appreciate your support to add this position as part of the budget approval. So we serve the county in workforce development, and we have a very robust business and industry community that serves our community. We had around 300 individuals from the business community in the campus last week for advisory council meetings, and they advise us on our curriculum and our programming, and we really like to stay ahead of the curve. And it helps us to continue our status as being one of the best CTE schools in Pennsylvania. And having that designation is something to be proud of, because no matter where we go, we always hear, oh, you're from LCTI, and they know who we are, no matter what state that is. And that's quite an honor, and honestly, your district helped to build that, so thank you. We have a rigorous curriculum, we have strong connections with our business community, high expectations, and just like other schools across Pennsylvania and even in the nation, and I think this kind of builds on the previous conversation, is that LCTI is seeing this increased interest in CTE programming by students and by families. And so what we're seeing is in our application process that our numbers are higher. We've had the highest enrollment this current year than we've seen in a number of years, and that's a good trend for us. Currently, our application process is open, and your district is working with your students. We have 76 new student applications from your district, including Stacy's son, Colin, has applied, I heard, which I'm happy to hear that. So your counselors are working on that, and our priority deadline is March 31st. So they're working with the students to close that loop so that we can begin the process of assigning students to programs and getting them enrolled and getting them oriented and ready to start the school year for next year. Of course, we accept applications long beyond March 31st. As long as we have an opening, we accept students into those programs, and we do that even throughout the school year. So you can see budget details here relating to the overall general budget and the academic center budget, and then specifically on the bottom for your district as well. You do have the details that were shared with you in a PDF. And if you scroll to the next slide, you'll see that the majority of our budget is based upon salaries, between salaries and benefits. Between the general budget and the academic center budget, that is predominantly the largest part of our budget. And as you know, supplies and expenses and cost of equipment and operating schools is increasing exponentially. A roll of wire for the electrical program doesn't cost what it did 2 or 3 years ago. And so we look also at streamlining our programs, looking at enrollment, looking at where we can cut costs to be cost effective for your district and your taxpayers. Thank you. And thank you for all that you do. At your seat, Stacy had that up earlier, is a little fact sheet about some of your graduates and your current students, a little bit about our outcomes. But if you have any specific questions about the budget, I can answer those, or I can help with those as well. But otherwise, thank you for having us tonight.
Yeah, some of you met Julia Ramaley at the LCTI 25th anniversary. Those of you who went there, she's featured on the top of your flyer, and Lisa did not point this out, but I mentioned our NOCTI scores. NOCTI is kind of the final assessment for programs at LCTI for them, and so you'll see our NOCTI scores are on our school profile and etc. Our kids always perform really, really well on their NOCTIs, on their final assessments at LCTI, and we're really proud of not only the number of students we send there, but the number of students that we send there and are successful in the programming. I saw a number of them last night, and I saw the trophies at What's So Cool About Manufacturing. For those of you who might have watched that on TV, some of our kids were involved in making the trophies. Any questions for Dr. Greenwald or?
Just a
Mrs. Keller?
quick question. Okay, you said the ADM was based on property values. Which,
So,
It's
the debt
formula.
is It's based on property.
Based on
value.
property values. Okay, so if property values go down next year, how does that affect?
That would mean that your proportional share would also decrease.
Okay,
Most likely, every district will be decreasing, so you may not see that much of a percentage change.
okay.
And if I should elaborate on that, two of the reasons why our percentage and our dollar have gone up, not only is the increased enrollment, but is the increased property values. It's a formula of which we have both positive multipliers for good reasons, but that's part of what drives out the increase that they talked about earlier tonight.
Good question.
So any hope that Allentown might come around with increased ADMs in the future?
So that's a good question as well. And so we are working with the Allentown School District. They have a new superintendent. And we are working with their board members. We're working with the legislators and the community providers to actually talk about the value of CPE for their students and hoping to like change some of that language into seeing the benefits for their students and seeing that how we can support them through that process. So hopefully.
I have a question. Could you speak to the increases that we're seeing on this slide, specifically to the academic center budget, and also because it seems like on the first slide that you presented, or I'm sorry, maybe it was the second slide, it seems like we've been pretty flat, or maybe a few students, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But it seems like that's a ginormous increase. So can you speak to the fact of like, what exactly are we getting for that, increase?
Actually, the entire increase to the academic senate budget is salary and benefits alone. We decreased none of the other object codes. What we did, that it's a higher salary is, yes, of course, we have contractual percentages. We had all three of our contracts renewed this year. So there was contractual percentage increases, but also we changed formerly the position for academic center director was split 50% general fund and 50% academic center. So when he moved on to another district, the incoming person, we actually, now the title is supervisor, but it is 100% academic center. So that is the bulk of that. And also the ELL position is also split 86% general fund and 14% to the academic center.
And then I think on top of that, what you're seeing, I think gets to Mr. Delacour's maybe point or question earlier, as the enrollment in other districts waxes and wanes, that affects the proportional share as well. So even though you've been more flat and only saw that increase of three ADMs over that 5-year period, other districts have had a more significant drop or increase, and that's what affects that overall. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it's a proportional share. So just like an IU transportation we talked about last time, it's proportionally divided among all of the 49 shares. And when a district has a significant decrease or increase, as you will see on the slide by some district, we have the same number or a similar number, but our proportional share becomes more or less of the total budget of 2.3 million. So the budget stayed the same with exceptions of the things she mentioned, at 2.3 salary increases, the supervisor and part of the EL teacher, but our proportional share changes. I don't know if that answers your question.
It answers my question. It answers the question. It just is a little bit harder to maybe
Anticipate.
see the numbers and be okay with the fact that, we're going to be paying a lot more for something that we maybe aren't going to be utilizing, or maybe aren't going to see it, as much as maybe some of the other school districts up on that slide
Yeah.
per se.
Yeah, and part of the challenge, and that's part of the reason the 5-year ADM is built in, so that you don't see also immediate fluctuations. When there's decreases, you see over time fluctuations, positive or negative. on both budgets. But anytime there's fluctuation, that's why the SAC is involved and all the superintendents are involved in the programming and some of it with Dr. Greenwald, some of the selections, because they do have over time large impacts. And she and I have had conversations about the impacts of our budget because of some of the increases and they went back and did some revisions, and the budget you see is the budget that we support. I mean, we do support the inclusion of the ELT that she mentioned. But yes, and the academic center program is not a large program in comparison to the overall LCTI program. It is a specialized program that sometimes costs slightly more than the regular programming.
Thank you.
I have a question that's not budget related-ish. Your veterinarian, the veterinary program, was offered to seniors this year, correct?
Correct.
Is there plans to expand that to other grades?
Very good question. So we'll be having that conversation with the superintendents over the next couple months, likely. So we opened one section for, we call it animal sciences for this current school year, and it was filled immediately. This year we opened for the 23-24 school year, we opened two sections, so a morning class and an afternoon class. And we're close to being full for that as well with just seniors. But we have had interest from underclassmen. So currently the classroom is in a small classroom that probably is smaller than a typical like math or English classroom because they do spend time out of the classroom area. But we're looking at plans for moving that into a larger space and designing what could expand into a grade 9 through 12 program. We did have it approved with the Department of Education as a 4-year program, so we do have the license to operate it that way. We just wanted to get it off the ground and running with a group of students, and the easiest way and the least expensive way was to do that at the 12th grade level. So we'll be building in over time some facility improvements, purchasing some equipment so that we can have the resources to be able to offer that.
So when that budget, when you see the increase to $176,000 to your operating budget, is that possible expansion? You said building on, is that part of that? No.
Currently not.
Okay.
Currently not.
So you could foresee increases to not only enrollment at LCTI in that program, but then additional needs to the actual like, facility itself.
Correct, correct. So we're actually evaluating our programs now in the spaces where they're housed and looking at, can we move programs to different areas in the building to better serve the programs we have now? Mr. Delacour will tell you that the building was designed for programs of then. And so as we made changes, we've moved programs in and out, but we're doing like a whole school evaluation on programs, whole school evaluation on looking at 5-10-year planning, where we want to be, what programs we should be offering. And that's part of our comprehensive planning process and conversation. And of course, the superintendents are very much involved with that, and because we need their support to move forward with any of those things. Our hope is to move the animal sciences program to the larger space for next year, because it will allow for us to bring in some animals into that space. It's not a classroom with tiled floor. It has more concrete floors, so it's more conducive to bringing animals into that space.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else? Thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for having us.
Hey, that was nice presentation. So moving on, board president's report. I don't have anything tonight. We'll into this. I don't think of prepare anything. So for that, I'll move it on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, I do have a few things. I mentioned this to the board in a board report, but I did participate in an educational summit. It was actually held at the Parkland School District with Senator Jared Coleman as well as Senator Dave Argall. Talked a lot about needs for education. I mentioned at one of the board meetings when we talked about mental health, and we certainly spoke to them about that. And one of the updates I also sent you was about Governor Shapiro's budget. So I don't think they acted that quickly, but some of those things are included in the budget. Now where that will go from here. It's a $44.4 billion 2023-2024 budget with $567 million added to basic ed. Just to remind you, as you hear about budget talks and even adds to education funding, all of that money that will be added to education funding is run through what's called the fair funding formula. We can certainly do a robust presentation on this with the information that we have, but that is not a funding formula that we get a lot of money from. So as you hear media information, it is all of the multipliers and things that we certainly have that are built into that formula do not drive out a lot of money. So if you recall when they ran the additional money last year, we in the newspaper were one of the lowest, if not the lowest district in terms of percentage of new money. So whatever money they run through basic ed, certainly I will get you updates on what it's projected to be for us. They do, however, have 2 block grants written into the current budget. Whether they will stay or not is to be determined. There's a 5-year mental health block grant that's $100 million. And there is another block grant, time not determined, that is a safety and security grant for another $100 million. So we look forward to, future conversations as people kind of get used to their new roles and where the budget goes from here. And we'll certainly keep you up to date until we have anything solidified. We currently have level kind of funding in the budget. I did send this out to the board, but certainly there is a PSBA Advocacy Day, which we do have several meetings set up with legislators on April 18th. If any of you are interested, I will be attending. The board members are certainly invited if you wish to attend. Kutztown had a professional development panel for all pre-service teachers. I have been fortunate enough the last 2 years to be invited as a panelist and had the opportunity to speak to 222 new teaching candidates in a variety of different areas. Brought Mrs. Santika back a very nice stack of applications and resumes, provided them some feedback about job interview skills and how they should approach things. And, we fielded a bunch of questions. So they were very excited and enthusiastic, and they seemed like a very good group of pre-service teachers coming out of Kutztown. And lastly, I don't have an update where this is, but there was a Senate bill put on the table, Senate Bill 337, that said that if they pass the bill, a school that offers a similar cyber program will not have to pay for cyber programs. So it would not require school districts to pay for a cyber program if they have a similar cyber program. So certainly, as you know, we were probably one of the first districts to offer our own cyber program, 2008-ish, I think. And so that certainly would be something that we would support and have our students come back to our cyber program. Where it will go, I'm not really sure. Does anybody have any questions?
Does that mean if the parents choose to go to another cyber program, they would have to pay for it?
That is not written in there what would happen, but we would not have
We
to
would
pay
not
for
have
it,
to
as
pay.
long as they deem it like or similar. And I think that is to be determined what that means as well. What like or similar cyber program. The district would not have to fund the tuition for that program if they have a like or similar program. It's very, very early. And that was one of the original proposals when you put that cyber flyer out. The 2 on there were not paying for cyber if you offered your own cyber. And the other one was the limit of 9,500 was what Governor Wolf at the time had proposed. Neither of those things went through at the time, but just want to keep those on your radar as you hear about them. Thank you.
That takes us to personnel action. So 2.1.
You don't need to. I'll talk. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. We have 26 items for your approval tonight. I think there's 2.5 pages. Items added since last Friday are highlighted in yellow. We do have a new employee with us tonight. Is Mrs. Denise Dangler, who's accepted a position as a one-on-one instructional assistant at Weisenberg Elementary School, and I'll ask Mrs. Burlett to introduce her.
Yes, good evening. So I'm very pleased to welcome Denise to Northwestern Lehigh, specifically Weisenberg. She comes to us with a bachelor's degree from Shippensburg, a master's degree in marketing from DeSales. So while she has worked in corporate for many years, she also has over 20 years of experience in various educational settings, most recently working with students in an online setting. So we are very happy to have Denise with us at Weisenberg. I certainly first met her as a parent when her children were coming through Weisenberg. So it's great to have her join us as part of our staff. So welcome, Denise.
Would you like to say a few words?
Okay, thank you, and I'm excited to be part of the school district and especially at Weisenberg. And I believe Northwest is a wonderful school district. The Phillipsburg children that went through District 4 from kindergarten, 3 graduated, my last one was a junior. And they did take advantage, some of them were the dual enrollment and LTI. So I think it's a wonderful thing about those 2 programs also. So again, thank you.
And I ask for your approval on these items.
All right, fantastic. All right, with that, looking for a motion to approve.
So move.
Passing a second.
Second, sorry.
Who would?
You want to?
Give it to Becky.
All right, this is right. Okay, any comments or questions or follow-ups? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, no? Okay, thank you. Welcome. Glad to have you. Okay, moving on. Curriculum 3.01, the first reading.
Yes, I'm presenting 18 curriculum documents for first reading that are already listed on our website this evening. I will be asking for your approval of these documents at the April 19th board meeting. Just a reminder that all of the changes to these documents were already discussed at length at our curriculum council meeting in December. If you were unable to attend or you wanted to take a look at those minutes, everything is posted on our website for your review. The documents represent a full year culmination of diligent effort by our staff, especially our teachers, who remain committed to making their programs the best that they can for our kiddos. So I do want to sincerely thank our staff for putting in the time and the energy to make sure that those documents are up to date and are really benefiting our students. So.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions? This is just discussion item, no action today. Okay, seeing none, thank you.
I'm also bringing the next item.
Okay, so-
I'm also presenting one textbook series which coincides with actually last year's curriculum revisions for grade 6 English language arts. The curriculum was approved last spring. Our teachers wanted to wait a year to make a more informed decision on a new series. They weren't really satisfied with the things that they were finding last year, so they wanted another year. And there was a personnel switch and in 6th grade as well. So they wanted to make sure they had a better grasp as to who was teaching it and had the commitment for those teachers to choose a textbook series. As required, the text along with the rubric and evaluation forms, I have them over here right now. They will be here on display for a minimum of 30 days. I will be asking for your approval on these this series and the April 19th board meeting. It may look familiar to you because this is a continuation of the K-5 series that we actually purchased. They did investigate a few series. This was the one that they felt would best meet the needs. In addition, the benefit of that being that students that are used to the Wonder series coming up through grade 5 will continue in grade 6 and with that same series. So this will be pending your approval on April 19th.
Thank you. Anybody have questions? Okay, moving forward, 3.03, the dual enrollment grant. I believe we discussed this at the workshop meeting, but
We did, Mrs. Stitzel, Mrs. Yadish and myself met. It is retroactive because Mrs. Stitzel did, as we mentioned at the workshop, submit this on Friday. It was due on the 10th. I did not know the details and how many school districts applied. But we did apply. Some of you are familiar with the reimbursement process that we've used in the past. We applied for, I'll say something similar to that, should we get funded. We're not really sure how the funding will work in terms of, we know that it was designed to expand dual enrollment opportunities for districts that didn't have them or for students that might not have opportunities. As you heard tonight, we have a number of opportunities, we have a number of students involved, so I suspect they will prioritize districts in that manner, and I don't know what that means for what we will get. But we certainly did put the application in, and we will keep you posted as soon as we know something. But we are asking for your retroactive approval. It was submitted on Friday.
Okay, thank you. So, looking for a motion. Mr. Gallagher, a second?
Second.
Mr. Batzinger? Any comments or further questions? Nope. All right, looking, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving into policies. I guess we can take this together. So 4.01 is the first reading, 4.02 is the second reading and final approval, and then 4.03 is the rescind the policies. So we did discuss this at the workshop meeting. Let's see, I think we only need to take action on 4.02 actually, so. Any comments on 4.01? Sorry, I said consent, but only one is needed for approval.
Yeah, no, and I've received no comments or questions.
Okay. Which takes us to 2. So that one we'll need to take action on. We have 2 policies there. I'll take motion in a second first, and then we'll hand it off. Just comments.
So moved.
Mrs. Sheckler, second.
Second.
Dr. Hunsaker. All right, any
No
follow-up,
comments and questions
any
as well.
questions for anybody?
Yeah, I just have a question and clarification on 143. It's kind of confusing to me when I read over this. I apologize for bringing this in so late, but in that policy under definitions, 1, 2, 3, the 4th paragraph down says persistently dangerous school. You with me there?
Yes, sir.
It says, the definition is, in the most recent school year and in one additional year of the 2 years prior to the most recent school year. So when I look down 1, 2, 3, I guess we're in the 3rd category, 1,000 or more. We are allowed, a school is allowed 20 or more. I mean, a school with 20 or more dangerous incidents is considered a dangerous school, right?
That's correct.
In 1 year or in,
Collectively, cumulatively, I believe. So
so we're looking at the current year and then 2 years prior.
So following correctly, the most recent, this year or 2 of the previous years, whose enrollment has 20 more dangerous incidents where they define dangerous incidents in there. So
Yeah.
in each of those years, if you were 20 or more,
In each year.
yeah, so it would be
The
this
current
current,
and one of the.
current
other
and
two.
one of the 2 previous years.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, where are we? I know we had that report.
Yeah, we had our Safe Schools report
Yeah,
and we're not even close to meeting
okay.
that threshold.
I didn't think you were, but I just wondered. All right, thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions by anybody? Okay, so we do have a motion in a second, so all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. And then 4.03, there are no policies to rescind. So operations, we have a few items here.
We do. I will walk you through those tonight. The first one, item 5.01 is to rescind the bid awards. So I am asking for your approval to rescind the motion for the bid awards that you took action on February 15th as follows, and this is on your agenda. Middle school doors, high school electrical panels, and middle school water line. For the capital improvement plan based on the legal advice. So as you know, there was a legal deficit associated with not being properly advertised. And so we are asking you to rescind these. As you know, from my informational update, I did do this on your behalf to each of the contractors. And we are asking for your approval to rescind them. And then the second one obviously is very, very similar, asking you to reject all of the bids. We did already advertise this again, and so it was in the week of March sixth, the week of March tenth, and the week of March seventeenth. And we anticipate opening the bids for this project in conjunction with the bids that you re-advertised. So it's the 29th and 30th of March. And then again, you will take action hopefully on all of the bids, these three and the ones that you decided to rebid at the April 5th board meeting, which is advertised as an action meeting. So both of those items go together. One accepting the motion to rescind and one accepting the motion to reject. The information is identical on both items.
Okay, so we'll take one at a time.
Yeah.
So, looking for 5.01 to rescind the bid awards. I'm looking for motion. Mr. Delacour.
Second.
Second, by Mr. Cassiano. Any comments or further questions? Okay, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, motion carries. All right, so now 5.02 to reject all bids, looking for a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Patzinger,
Second.
second, by Mrs. Cenovitis. Okay, any comments, questions? All right, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
I have a question where we stand. Are there any implications from doing this step? Or is that something we can't talk about? Or?
I have requested a executive meeting tonight for legal items. So
Thank you.
Okay, 5.03, first all transportation agreement. I believe we did discuss this at the workshop meeting, so I'll look for a motion in a second and then open it up to the floor.
So moved.
All right, Mrs. Scheffler,
Second.
second, Dr. Hart, excuse me, Dr. Hunsaker. Any follow-up questions or comments?
if I could just remind you, this is the agreement with First Alt for one as per diem services. So if we have a student who needs to go, one student who needs to go to one place, often it's easier to contract with a car, which is what this agreement, we don't currently have any students. We wanted to approve the agreement so we could use it on an as needed basis instead of using a van or a bus for one student to be able to do this. It's more cost effective.
Thank you. All right, we do have a motion in a second, so all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, district finances. Now this is the time we'll take action on those presentations. So 6.01, the 23-24 LTRI-C budget. Looking for a motion in a second.
So moved.
Mr. Ratzinger, second.
Second.
Mrs. Scheffler. Any follow-up comments? Nope. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? All right, thank you. And second one, 23-24 LCTI budget. Looking for a motion in a second as well.
I'll make a motion. I'll
Mr.
second.
Katzinger, Mr. Cassiano. Any follow-up comments or questions? They're still here. If there was any more questions? Okay, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, 6.03 is the 23-24 CLIU budget. I believe we did have a presentation at the workshop meeting for this this item. So looking for a motion in a second.
So moved.
Mr. Scheffler, second, Ms. Knight. Comments, questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Thank you. Okay, 6.04 CLIU Student Driver Education Program. This one we also did that at the workshop meeting. Looking for a motion in a second.
So moved.
Mrs. Cenovitis,
Second.
Mr. Patzinger. Comments, questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? All right, motion carries. Thank you. And 6.05 Concord Theatricals, TAMS, Whitmark Music Library Agreement. This was also discussed at the workshop meeting, so looking for a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Scheffler in a second.
Second.
Mr. Cassiano. Any follow-up by anybody? All right. All those in favor, aye. Opposed, no? All right, thank you. Now we're at the reports.
I am filling in for Chrissy this evening, and I do have information from her if you have any questions on any of the reports.
All right, let me get a motion in a second and then open up the floor.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr. Got him, Ms. Spencer, Ms. Felker. Any follow-up questions or on these items? Nope. All right, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? All right, thank you. And that takes us to the bills.
So moved.
All right, Mr. Passier.
Second.
Second, Dr. Hunsaker.
Here
We do have one abstention in here, so are there any comments or questions regarding the bills? Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? And we do have the one abstention. Okay, thank you, motion carries. All right, so the other reports, enrollment report.
I do not have any updates. If anyone has any questions, I will certainly take them.
Seeing none? All right, foundation report.
I do have a report this evening. Since the last time we met at a regular board meeting, the foundation did hold its first annual cornhole tournament, and they found it to be very successful for the first time ever having it. They had over 40 teams that participated. Their goal was 50, so it was very close. But they're already in the works of planning it again for next year. They want to definitely have it and get a little bit more participation even. But a great time was had by all, from what I understand, and some nice prizes were given out as well, and really good food as well. Also, this Friday or this Saturday, there is a Tiger Takeover happening at Shankweiler's Drive-In. So if you haven't seen that posted on social media, check it out, because they will be showing 2 shows, I believe. Yes, the B-movie, and I forget what the other, but they're family-friendly shows that they will be showing. So all of the proceeds that are generated from that event go directly to the foundation. And also on the 14th of April, a portion of what you purchase at 8 Oaks Distillery will go towards the foundation as well. So there will be, their goal is to have a tiger takeover at a local establishment every single month. So stay tuned for that. And the advertisement typically is through social media as well. But they already have some lined up for May and June as well. And lastly, the Tiger Run and Fun Walk, their annual event, is going to be held on Saturday, the 27th of May, again at Onalani Park. Registration, I believe, is open on their website, so please feel free to go to nwlef.org and sign up to either walk or run. They have a 5K or a 10K for those of you who are more ambitious, not me, but feel free to do either of those 3 events.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, committee reports. We have the intermediate unit.
We did not have a meeting in February, but the meeting is scheduled for this Monday, March 20th.
Thank you. LCTI.
Not really a report tonight. We voted on the budget and I appreciate everybody's vote and thank you for being here. The LCTI is also interviewing currently for new legal firms to represent, and our own counsel has been part of the interview and they've done very well. That's all.
Thank you. We'll try to see, we did have the presentation and our rep here tonight. Takes us to the rec commission. That would be me. We did have a meeting last week. We did elect the officers, they stayed the same. And then the fields aren't heavily used right now because we're coming out of the winter, but we are prepping them for future use in the near term as the spring sports are probably about to start, if they haven't even already been out there. So that's really it for rec commission. So old business. Do we have any old business tonight? New business. New business by anybody? All right, communications. This is the second time we'll offer courtesy of the floor. All right, seeing none. Communications, Ms. Cassiano, nothing tonight. Administrative and building sharing. I'll pass it off to you.
Yeah, I think we always do. We'll start online, Mr. Gibbler.
Good evening, members of the board, administrative staff, and those joining in the gallery. No new updates this evening. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Pooley.
Hi, good evening. We have kindergarten registration open, so we're excited to start the process of welcoming our new Tigers. We have screening coming up in April. Second grade is preparing for their school-wide and parent performance on April 5th. And we are all gearing up for lots of fun spring events like field trips, field days, and all that fun stuff. So we're about to embark on a very exciting time at the elementary schools. Have a good evening.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Good evening. Just a few items to report. Been kind of crazy the past couple months. Our spring musical was performed the first weekend in March. They had 4 very entertaining shows. So people weren't quite familiar with what Disaster really was, and they're in for a treat if they chose to attend. So cast and crew did a phenomenal job. Our hats off to our director for pulling it all together as usual. Winter season just wrapped up. All of our programs, proud to say, did qualify again for the postseason. In wrestling, Luke Fugazato, Buck Miller, Caleb Clymer, and Dart DeLillo, all were regional qualifiers. They performed well at the district tournament. Buck and Luke both advanced to states in Hershey last weekend, but neither one of them were medalists, but they had a good showing. We had 2 female athletes, female wrestlers compete in the girls' regional wrestling tournament at Parkland 2 weeks ago. Josie Ware and Katie Brensinger. Katie ended up earning a regional championship and advanced to states where she won a bronze state medal in girls wrestling. Girls basketball earned yet another league title. That was their 3rd in a row. Paige Severin also led the team this year and became our all-time leading female scorer in the school history. So that's quite an accomplishment for her. And the girls came within 1 game of qualifying for the states. They had a state play-in game after finishing 3rd in District 11. Our debate team proudly hosted the league semifinals here at our high school. Mrs. Paste and her team did a fantastic job hosting the event. They ended up placing 4th in the league, which is pretty impressive. Science Olympiad program is heading out to Kutztown University tomorrow to compete in regionals. Key Club ran another successful blood drive. I think it was last week, if I'm not mistaken. They're all blending. And Student Council is busy preparing for their annual Mr. Northwestern pageant. And spring sports started on March 6th already. Competitions begin this Friday. And we're proud to say we have upwards of 300 student athletes out on the fields this spring. So that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Mrs. Edmonds.
Nothing from me. Just have a good evening, everyone.
Mrs. Wall.
Good evening. Northwestern Lehigh Middle School will be hosting the Sixth Sense competition. Sixth Sense is a trivia-based competition for our 6th grade students, and that will be held on March 27th, 28th in the evening of the 29th, which is the finals. Mr. Brown is our advisor for the Sixth Sense, and it's open to the public to go and watch. New to the 7th grade this year is Envirothon. So we'll have about 15 students that participate in 30-minute interactive outdoor stations. That would happen, I believe, sometime in April. Also, our 7th grade will be attending their field trip this month at the end of the month to Da Vinci Center, which is they're hosting the Body Worlds exhibit. So we're looking forward to that. And Mrs. Holman alluded to this earlier tonight. What's so cool about manufacturing, our students attended the awards competition last night. Their video highlighted the Mancor PA incorporation, which is precision machinery. So and Mr. Mole advised that group. So it was a good turnout and they enjoyed making those videos. And that's all for tonight. So thank you and have a good night.
That brings us in-house, Mrs. Burlap.
Okay, I just want to take this opportunity to say a public thank you to Mrs. Gassessa, our 3rd grade teachers, Mrs. McKenzie, Ms. Helm, and Mrs. O'Neill, as well as Mrs. Sacco and Mrs. D'Antonis for working together to put on our 3rd grade musical. It was held last Tuesday. The children had a performance during the day as well as in the evening, and it was just a wonderful performance. The students did an absolutely fabulous job. Coming up, our family fun night will be held this Saturday from 4:30 until 8 o'clock. Lots of fun things are planned. Many of our traditional auctions and games and activities for the kids to participate in. We have also added pig races. So every classroom decorated a pig, and those pig races will be held at 5 o'clock if you'd like to join us. No, no. Very cute pigs. And on March 30th, we will have our Festival of the Arts. It will be held from 6 to 8 in the evening, and both our second grade students and our fourth grade students will be performing that evening. So those are our most immediate upcoming events.
I do need to jump back online because Mrs. Yadish has a very important announcement to make. And as if people on mic, they jump around on the participation screen. So I missed her and I don't want to skip her, Mrs. Yadish.
Thank you, Dr. Sosnovic. Normally I'd be fine with not having to report, but I am very excited to share one important item this evening. I'm happy to announce to the class of 2023 that we will be holding their graduation ceremony at Tiger Stadium on Friday, June 2nd, beginning at 7 p.m. Rain dates will be Saturday and Sunday, pending the weather forecast. I will be sending that information out to the students as soon as I finish here, as well as to their parents. But congratulations to our seniors. The time is coming. Thank you very much.
That was important because my son's graduating. I'm happy to hear that. This is good.
I have nothing further tonight, just happy spring. Glad that it's here.
I have nothing. I can't do graduation or the pigs, so.
All good, privilege to serve.
I have nothing further, thank you.
I was just going to throw it back to Mrs. Jadish because I knew about the announcement and I was like, choose on. My last update is boring. All of you received in the last board meeting, you asked for a millage update in terms of some additional information. I did get that to all of you, but certainly if you have any questions, please let us know. And we are super excited about graduation. So I'm glad you were able to hear that tonight, and our graduates will get their announcements tonight.
All right, that takes us to us. Well, since I'll go 2 in a row over here, so he'll miss out when he comes back. So, Mr. Delacour.
Thank you. I just wanted to talk about how nice it was tonight to have all our community partners in it, LCTI and L3C, here with us, and what we heard from the foundation. This community is so fortunate to have all the support that we have in this school, and the school makes it happen too. But listening to Zimmy and what we did in the musicals and the athletic teams and the debate and the science Olympiads and the Key Club and all this, you just go on and on. It's just a wonderful district to be part of, and thank you for coming and being a part of this Northwestern Lehigh extended family. It's a good night. Thank you. Thanks.
No comment. I just wanted to echo the well done for the Your Spring musical. My son Noah and I, we went and to watch some of our friends, and he was really excited to see some of his friends like little Eisenberg in it, and the Yeti that was across the room. Amazing. But no, really, it was a really great performance, and you could tell the kids were really excited, and it was really great to see all those kids performing again. So I just wanted to echo that because I know that the teachers put in a lot of work, and then and I have to give kudos to the music teacher because she pulled that out. I believe it was 2 months earlier than what they normally do. So that's a lot of hard work in a short amount of time. So it was really fun. And then to echo the Tiger takeovers, they're super fun. So if you're able to get to any, I highly recommend it.
I had the opportunity to attend the play Disaster. It was amazing. It's nice to see the kids kind of out of their element and singing and performing. And then a thanks to our coaches and advisors who spend a tremendous amount of time with our kids and help them be successful.
Mrs. Burlett stole my announcement on Family Fun Night. It starts at 4:30 on Saturday, and there's also a cakewalk in addition to the pigs.
Yes, I forgot the cakewalk, sorry.
That's okay. It gave me something to say.
I have nothing. Have a good night. I'm gonna make this a little different. I wanted to thank the board members who are rerunning and the support of the current board members for us. I think we've gotten into a groove and we do real well. We all have our expertise. We all ask our appropriate questions, and I just want to say thank you to you board members for being here and continuing this on. Thank you.
I actually have something. I wanted to thank Mrs. Pullman. She came over to Bethlehem today. Our firm has it's not as well, I mean, everybody's gonna have to listen. She was our guest star on our podcast. Our firm started a podcast last year. It's called The Legal Lunchroom. We talk about all things school law related. So Mrs. Pullman came over today and we discussed the intersect between family law. So when school administrators are faced with disputes between, parents or guardians, how to navigate that. I thought it was really nice to hear because you get one perspective from us, the lawyers, but then you get another perspective from, the administration who's doing it. I said, it's so easy for us to tell you guys what to do, but we're not the ones who then have to go and interface with the parents and making the difficult decisions. So she did a bang up job. They may have to tone down the speed though. For the
I told her 0.75.
She blew through it. I think my favorite segment was like a half hour and Mrs. Holman was done in 15 minutes. So she did a great job. So it's called The Legal Lunchroom. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And once it drops, we'll let everybody know so you can hear what a great job she
So you
did.
have to subscribe.
You have to
And they
subscribe.
are.
They're free.
Are they archived?
Yeah.
You can go back and listen to it.
Constitutional outsourcing and this. Yeah, it's great stuff. It's really good
I didn't do
stuff.
either one of those. Constitutional law and outsourcing employees. I'm like, okay, I could do this one. Family law.
But she did a great job and talked a lot about all the great stuff that's going on here at Northwestern.
Okay.
I would have said it because I thought it was a secret until it dropped, but thank you. You're very welcome.
I think everybody said it all. Just to reiterate, thanks to our partners coming and presenting today and at the workshop meeting. We really appreciate, all the work that they do, as well as everything that is done here in the district amongst ourselves and the team. So not me, when I say ourselves, I mean everybody. So that's really it. So I'll just make meeting announcements. We do have a legal session following this meeting, exec session for legal purposes following this meeting. We did have a workshop meeting on March 1st in the boardroom, which was followed up by an exec session for personnel matters. We did have a workshop meeting on April 5th, which was also followed up with an exec session for personnel matters. And then we had a board meeting on April 19th in the boardroom. So other than that, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ms. Bassinger, second. Ms. Pelican, all right. Thank you.
I'm crazy.